What was the largest space disaster in history? Let's journey back to February 6, 1996, at the Xinjiang spaceport in southeastern China. The air was thick with anticipation and the hum of technology. It was the wee hours of the morning, a time when most people were tucked in their beds, dreaming of what the new day might bring. But here in this corner of the world, dreams of a different kind were about to take flight. A behemoth stood tall amidst the hush of the night, a testament to the pinnacle of Chinese space technology at the time, the Long March 3B. This was no ordinary launch. It was the maiden voyage of a rocket that carried the hopes and dreams of a nation poised to make its mark in the space sector. Nestled within the heart of this rocket was a precious cargo, the Intelsat 708 satellite. Owned by the American company Intelsat, it was destined for the stars, set to orbit our planet and provide telecommunications services. This was a high-stakes gamble, a daring dance with destiny. The payload was expensive, the risk was palpable, and the world watched with bated breath. In a move that was as unusual as it was intriguing, the Chinese government decided to broadcast the launch on state television. A first of its kind, the event was not just televised across the vast expanse of China, but it also found its way into American living rooms. It was a bold statement, a nod to transparency, and perhaps a portent of the global collaborations that China aspired to in the space sector. As the countdown began, the world held its breath. The rocket roared to life, a beacon of human ingenuity against the backdrop of the dark night. The stage was set, the players were ready, and the curtain was about to rise on a spectacle that was expected to be a triumphant display of technological prowess. Little did they know, this launch was about to take a turn for the worst. As the clock ticked 3 a.m., the Long March 3B roared into life. This was the moment that had been awaited with bated breath. The Long March 3B, a marvel of Chinese space technology, was ready to pierce the darkness of the night sky. On board was the precious cargo, the Intelsat 708 satellite, the hope of a new era in telecommunications. The countdown began, and the tension was palpable. As the engines ignited, the spaceport was bathed in an intense, otherworldly glow. The rocket rose slowly at first, then faster, a powerful fiery arrow pointing towards the stars. The dream was becoming a reality. The Long March 3B was on its way, carrying the promise of new horizons. But just as the excitement was peaking, things took a disastrous turn. 22 seconds into the flight, something went horribly wrong. The rocket, instead of following its intended path high above, veered off course. It started to descend, not up into the vastness of space, but down towards the Earth. Faster and faster it fell, a terrifying spectacle that no one could believe. Then, with a thunderous crash, the rocket slammed into the side of a hill, just a few hundred meters from the spaceport. The impact was colossal, the force of the explosion illuminating the surrounding area like a second sun. Debris rained down, a shower of burning metal and shattered dreams. The once bustling spaceport was now a scene of devastation and chaos. The dream of the Long March 3B and its precious cargo, the Intelsat 708 satellite, was over. What should have been a moment of triumph had become a nightmare. In a matter of seconds, the landscape was transformed. The rocket, once a symbol of hope and progress, was now a twisted wreck, a stark reminder of the risks and challenges that come with the quest to conquer space. The launch pad, just moments ago a place of anticipation and excitement, was now a scene of destruction and despair. In the blink of an eye, the spaceport was consumed by a violent explosion. The shockwaves from the crash reverberated far and wide, a stark reminder of the fine line between success and disaster in the unforgiving realm of space exploration. The aftermath of the disaster was devastating. The crash site, once bustling with activity, was now a scene of utter chaos and destruction. The official casualty count from the Chinese government stood at 6 fatalities and 57 injuries. But the scale of the explosion, the proximity of the crash to the spaceport, and the time of the incident raised eyebrows around the world. Many, particularly in the United States, questioned the authenticity of these figures. Theories began to circulate suggesting that the actual casualty count was much higher. However, the opacity of the Chinese authorities and the lack of independent media coverage made it impossible to verify these claims. The incident didn't just leave a crater in the ground, it also created a significant rift in international space relations. Prior to the disaster, China was on an upward trajectory in the space sector. It was actively seeking collaborations with other nations, including the United States, to further its space ambitions. But the Intelsat 708 crash brought this momentum to a screeching halt. The rest of the world watched in shock and disbelief as the images of the crash site made their rounds. Nations that once saw China as a potential partner in space exploration began to reconsider. The incident sowed seeds of doubt about China's capabilities and reliability. The United States especially started to distance itself from China's space program. In the wake of the disaster, China found itself largely isolated in the space sector. Its aspirations of becoming a major player in international space relations were dashed, at least for a while. The incident cast a long shadow over China's aspirations in the space sector. It was a stark reminder of the risks involved in space exploration and the heavy price that can be paid for a single mistake. For China, it was a wake-up call, a harsh lesson in humility and the importance of transparency in the face of disaster. In the wake of the disaster, investigations began to uncover the cause. The Intelsat 708 crash wasn't merely a tragic accident, but a complex puzzle waiting to be pieced together. The world watched with bated breath as the Chinese authorities and international experts delved into the wreckage to understand what had gone horribly wrong. The findings were startling. The culprit was not a design flaw or a system malfunction, but a seemingly minor oversight with catastrophic consequences. The cause of the crash was traced back to a welding error in the inertial platform circuits of the rocket. This minor lapse in quality control had caused the rocket to veer off course shortly after liftoff, leading to the tragic disaster. But the investigation did not end there. Across the Pacific in the United States, a report was being compiled that would shake the foundation of space relations between the two nations. The Cox Report, as it came to be known, raised serious questions about China's motivations in the aftermath of the crash. The Cox Report suggested that the Chinese investigation wasn't just about uncovering the cause of the crash. It hinted at a more sinister motive, that China was using the investigation as a pretext to examine the debris of the Intelsat 708 satellite. The suspicion was that China was attempting to replicate the advanced technology embedded in the American satellite. These allegations cast a long shadow over the investigation, coloring perceptions and straining diplomatic relations. The world of international space exploration had been rocked, and trust between two of its major players had been severely compromised. The Intelsat 708 crash had become more than a tale of a failed space mission. It had evolved into a narrative of suspicion, mistrust, and geopolitical maneuverings. The incident had revealed more than just a technical failure. The Intelsat 708 crash was not just a momentary disaster. It sent shockwaves across the international space community, leaving a lasting impact on the relations between nations, particularly China and the United States. The incident marked a turning point, putting a halt to the burgeoning space cooperation between the two countries. The trust that was being built had been shaken, casting a shadow of doubt over future collaborations. The consequences of the crash rippled far beyond the borders of China, influencing future international space relations. The disaster highlighted the risk and responsibility that comes with space exploration, a domain where a single error can lead to catastrophic outcomes. It served as a stark reminder that, in the realm of the cosmos, there is no room for error. In the aftermath, countries became more guarded, more cautious. The incident underlined the necessity for stringent safety measures and the importance of transparency in space programs. It emphasized the fact that space exploration is not just about technological prowess, but also about the ethical responsibilities that come with it. Yet, despite these setbacks, the Chinese space program continued to surge forward. Notable successes were achieved in satellite launches and space missions, proving their resilience and determination. China's commitment to space exploration remained unwavering as they continued to push the boundaries of what was possible. However, the incident of Intelsat 708 left a deep scar that is still visible today. The lack of clarity surrounding the number of victims and the handling of the incident by the Chinese authorities remains a source of contention. It's a bitter memory that serves as a constant reminder of the risks and complexities involved in space exploration. Despite the progress in the Chinese space program, the incident of Intelsat 708 remains a bitter memory, reminding us of the risks and complexities of space exploration. It's a story that underscores the importance of transparency, accountability, and international cooperation in our collective journey to the stars.